Sound check, 1 1 1 1 1. Wow, I've been missing this so much. How's it going? Hello, welcome to my webinar. I hope everything's running fine till now, and I hope to share a lot of insights with you folks. So feel free to ask me a question every time you want, and I'm gonna jump right in. All right, let's do it. So, perfect. I hope everyone is seeing my screen. Yes, perfect. Today I'm going to talk about developing high-performance culture for nonprofit organizations. Now, first, before I jump into the subject, we first need to know what culture is. So, I think the best definition I found is that culture is the glue. Culture is the glue between the people and the organization. And I think, culture is the glue that holds people together towards the same vision. So I think that's an awesome definition. But also, I have one more that it makes you understand a little bit better what culture is about. So culture is the butter. Now imagine you grab a slice of bread and another one. So these two slices of bread represent different people from your organization, okay? And then you add butter. So butter is what give like it's what holds the two slices of bread together. And that's a much more beautiful definition. And also, if you add butter, it's much more delicious to eat the bread. Like imagine eat the bread without butter or just the bread itself. I don't know about you, but I don't like it. So in NGOs, it goes like this. Culture is what makes people work for free. Now, don't get me wrong into that. Because actually, a lot of NGOs running into a tight budget. So if you want to make people work with high performance, you need to have a good culture established. So it's a tool. It's a tool to make people work for free for you, because that's what happened in STH. People work so hard and so much in really striving for it as a company. So you can use this understanding. So the reason why I started my organization, I'm gonna just give you a little bit of background before I jump. So first, I've been to a lot of volunteering in this past 6 years. So since I started attending college when I was freshman, I involved in lots of sort of NGOs. I did a lot of different projects. I engaged into like different volunteering setups, and I learned a lot of common mistakes into it. The first one is treating NGO as a hobby. A lot of people fall into that. You think it's something you're doing for good, and you treat it as a hobby, like something you do in the weekends and hey, some events or whatever, but you never truly understand like what's the efficiency behind or what's the impact you want to have. So it's treating it's more like an alter ego of yes, I'm helping, I'm feeling so good, but what about the actual stuff? What about the actual impact that you're having? So the second common mistake is inefficiency. And that happens with a lot of NGOs. That happens because sometimes lack of money leads to inefficiency, but also lack of management and lack of culture, and that's the main one. The third one is lack of impact, and that's huge. That's huge. I don't know about you, but everything I do, I seek to have a great impact. So it's I'm always seeking to learn more and to help more people with that. So I think it makes sense to always look of what is the way that I can have more impact inside the organization. And that's not the common reality in most of the NGOs I know. The fourth one is not scalable. Not scalable at all. And not only is not scalable, but not thinking in scalability in the whole process. And no profit. And this is a huge problem. Now, reality, I'm going to throw you a little bit of realities that when I look at it, I thought, this is wrong. Like, this needs to change, you know? It shouldn't be that way. So NGO needs to work like a company. And the reason behind that, it's really simple. Because companies works. And most of the time, NGOs don't, right? So companies works. They have a strong culture. Sometimes, like most of them, I hope so. They have a great impact, like on a large scale. So they know how to think in management and scale. And if your NGO like it's doing good, if you work as a company, that's going to be even better because you're going to have a much more great impact of what your cause is. Like actually, companies are not like focusing on solving a social problem, and the NGOs are. So if an NGO works like a company, you're solving a social problem with a company mindset, and that's unbelievable how great the impact you can have. So NGO needs to profit, and what I mean by that is profit is different from dividends. So dividends, it's money in stakeholders' pocket, and profit, it's money in NGO pocket. And it's really good to have the mindset that I need to profit with it because it can lead you to sort of different changes inside the NGO. So the first one, you need to have the mindset, I need to generate steady revenue here. So by doing that, you need to treat your beneficiaries like clients and also treating the donators like clients. Because imagine that. Most of NGOs, they are funded based in 100% of the donor's will. So imagine, let's just come right here and imagine with me for a second, if I'm working in a company and then we didn't have one single client throughout this whole week. And then what should I say to the boss or something like that? I say, oh yeah, we didn't have any clients because unfortunately, the clients was not willing to buy our product this week. So yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. So like that doesn't happen at all, right? So in NGO, it must be the same. It must be the same. So you must create like a view that the donators are your client. So therefore, you need to control the variables that, okay, these donators not donating necessarily because of their will, but because we are giving them incentives, we are giving them rewards and sorts of different things. So that was how STH started. I came across to this situation in Brazil. A father begging for help for his child that needs medical treatment in a light traffic in a street in Brazil. And then I saw it. And pretty much what they were doing was crowdfunding offline. So I said, hey, I can help somehow, you know? I can build a platform, I can code, I can connect the father with other people to help them. And that's was how Sstage started. Like we started by creating a social crowdfunding platform. Today we have much more products within our our portfolio and our NGO, but it started like that. So, and then I found that STH went from just me, like the solitary warrior, then to 3 people in the team, then to 5, then to 10, then to 25, and then we fired 10, and then to 15. So it's been a great process, and we've been quite successful. We run into national media twice. We impact dozens and dozens of children already with surgeries, with prostheses, and we are helping this like whole fucked up healthcare system, right? And then we have like 1,000 active users in our platform too. So we've been doing impressive work. And the reason behind that, it's culture. Now I go back to this. And now I'm gonna give you, so what was the reason behind our success, and so what was our journey and our learnings, and like some nuggets for you to like really take away to grab it and to try to apply in your NGO. If you're leading change, you're probably gonna face what we faced in the past. So that's probably gonna be useful. And feel free to ask me questions. I'm looking into the live chat right now, okay? Let's make it more interactive. First thing, context versus control. So that was the first thing we applied inside our NGO. So we're starting by leading the culture with this first thing in mind. We need to provide people context, not controlling that. So what I mean by that is actually context, not control. You need to provide the insight and the understanding to enable like greater decisions, right? So what is context and what is control? Like what do you need to embrace? Context is strategy. It's showing metrics. It's doing assumptions. It's set up in goals. It's transparency about the whole decision making of your NGO. And control, what you should avoid, for God's sakes, is coordinators approves, committees, planning and process valid more than results. And that's big stuff. If you're planning, if you're doing a lot of process, that doesn't lead you to necessarily to results. And that's something that people should have in mind. So that's the first thing. Now, the second is tasks versus goals. And I screenshotted one spreadsheet that we built for STH, and it's doing a great job, this tool. We've built like based on OKRs, which are like objective and key results. It's the thing that Google used to set up their goals. And you can look it up online too. But most important, what's the difference between tasks and what's the difference between goals? So what delegating tasks sounds like, and that's the common approach I've seen in like 99% of the NGOs I've been, is like functional way of thinking. So it's delegating tasks. When you're delegating tasks, and just that, you are being repetitive, you're not motivating the employees, and tasks are not related to results too. You think they are, but I'm gonna provide you an example. Like, this is really common. Assign to Igor. So, oh, Igor, in this week, you need to do 10 posts on Facebook, right? And you probably set up this post on Facebook because you're thinking that might lead like an awareness, or might lead people to your website, and might lead to donation, but like it's a whole bunch of assumptions. So, and this is not motivating at all. Like, this is repetitive, and this is being repeated every week. And it's not good for your NGO health to, or company health, like whatever, because it's not leading directly to the results you want to have. So you should take the delegating tasks out and put empowerment first. And what do I mean by empowerment is? Empowerment is taking ownership. It's constructing a culture that is results oriented and is giving autonomy to your employees, your volunteers. And how that sounds like in reality. So you assign to Igor, achieve 100 donations in this way. That's your assignment. And that can lead like to a lot of different things, and it's really funny what happens after you do assignment like that. So when you do like, hey, you need to get 100 donations this week instead of like 10 posts on Facebook. And the mindset behind of that is like, I don't care if you're going to ask your parents. I don't care if you're going to ask your friends. I just need 100 donations. So you can either go to Facebook and do 10 posts. Maybe if you do like a really great one, it just takes you 2 posts to get that. You can go to Twitter, you can go to Instagram, you can do a webinar, you can do like a YouTube. It's up to you. So that gives people a lot of autonomy over their decisions, because they need to reach their goal, and you're there to help. Like, okay, I'm here to help you, whatever you need to do, but it's up to you. It's up to you to set up. Okay, should I go to Facebook? Should I ask my parents? Like, if we achieve 100 donations, that's perfect. So, and that's create a lot of responsibility view in the minds of people, because when you delegating tasks and people do the task, they feel that they did their job already. Like, well, I don't know what you're saying, because I did the 10 posts on Facebook, so I think I did my job already. Why are you saying that I need to bring donations? You know. So when you shift it to results, it's different. Like, you need 100 results. I don't care if you did 1, 10, 100 posts on Facebook. I don't care at all. What I'm seeing here is that we had 0 for now. So the conversation shifts, and you can have a much more clear vision of responsibility, and people are taking more responsibility inside the NGO. Any questions so far? Feel free to ask anytime. So how does that work, and how create this like empowerment works? First thing, you need to have a top-down structure. So probably your NGO have some like trainees, and then coordinators in the middle, and then directors. I don't know what's the structure, but I definitely recommend you to keep it lean. In STH is just 3 levels of like hierarchy, because you need to have a certain level of it. So the top down is like people, directors, coordinators, they agree upon a strategy, and they come and give the context and the strategy to the trainees and people that are in the bottom of the line. So, hey, we need in this month to achieve like 1,000 donations, to finish 100 missions, to help like 50 children. And okay, we all agree upon that. So the top down is the strategy that comes. And then we have the bottom up, which is the magic that happens inside the teams and inside the people that are on the bottom. Because once they understand the strategy, they are free, 100% free to set up what are their tasks, what are their like, how they're gonna achieve it. So they're free to set up the how and the what, you know. So okay, we need to like help 25 children today. So let's look at what we did right the last month, and let's do it this month too, and let's try different sorts of different things. So the reason is like it creates a much more autonomy and ownership inside the organization. So they have like autonomy over their actions, over their decisions, over everything, and that can have like a great result inside their organization. Everything good so far? So let's go to motivation, right? Motivation is bullshit. Why do I say so? Why do I say so? Because in our past learnings, we've seen that motivation, it's actually that people are self-motivated if you provide the right challenge for them. So I remember quite a few times to hearing like, oh, I'm not motivated here, like I need to be motivated, or anyway, like high performance people, they are self-motivated if you provide the right challenge and the right learnings for them. So no one needs to motivate you or convince you that you need to work for us. Like you first wanted to because you had like a purpose behind it. So that works in the sense that you need to provide a challenge that is bigger than the person. I remember one time, I'm gonna tell a story now. One of our marketing trainees that then went to marketing coordinator and was like going up to being the marketing director. I remember when I was the president of the organization, I asked him, Gabriel, are you ready to be the next marketing coordinator? And he told me, not at all. And I said, hey, perfect. So now you're our next marketing coordinator. Because in my mind, if he said, yes, I'm 100% prepared, then I'm going to find someone else. If you're prepared, if you're 100% prepared for that position, why should I choose you? Like, what would you have to learn inside that? You know, what will be your learning with that? I think there will be none, you know, and then you would not have the a challenge bigger than yourself too. So that would be a problem for the whole structure. So that's the way you need to go. You need to understand that, okay, like I need to provide challenges that are bigger than the person, and analyzing the individual. For someone that's just got inside the company, probably a challenge bigger than them is like doing a post with Photoshop. But someone that's already like done that for quite a few times, the challenge is going to change, of course. So let's take me, for example. I've been 2 years the president of the organization, and I did this exercise with me every time. What are my challenges? What are my challenges? And then I noticed, hey, my challenges are really small now. I've been building this culture for this past 2 years. Now I need to go to like where I'm gonna learn the most, you know, where it's gonna provide me the greatest challenge and the greatest like difficulties to overcome. So I look it up and I said, hey, product is my challenge, because it's the intersection between technology, business, and marketing. And I knew not much about it. I was more like in the business area. So I went I resigned as a president, and I went as being a product manager. And that way my challenge increased like really 100 times. Courtney is asking me here, how do you keep your team engaged since they're all working for free? By providing them the biggest challenge. That's actually a good question. So the way we keep them engaged, it's always increasing responsibility, because we notice that when people lose motivation, it's when sometimes they fell into the routine. So our motto is, we never decrease responsibility. We are always increasing it. So let's say, for example, you've been to our financial area. So you started as a trainee, and then you were doing our accountability, and then you mastered the accountability, right? What's the regular model inside NGO is that, okay, you mastered the accountability, now you're gonna be our accountant for the whole life. And you're gonna do the same thing over and over and over and over and over. In our model, it's not like that. They say, hey, you master it in 1 month, that's great. Now your challenge is like marketing. But you still need to do your responsibility in the financials area. So the thing is, you've learned it for a month, and that takes you quite a few time. Now that you know, it's gonna take like half of the time that was taking you to do that. So you have like plus this extra time to jump into another challenge, and that way you're always learning and keeping motivation inside the organization. So let's jump to hiring. Hiring is a big deal, and you need to make hiring part of everyone's job inside your organization. The reason I'm telling you that is like, if the culture is tight enough, if the culture is great, you don't need to have specialized interviewers. You don't even need to have an HR inside your organization, because if your culture is strong, like everyone knows what you're expecting for, right? So first thing, don't be afraid to try crazy things to get attention of the best people. You want the best people, and like let's assume that nowadays our approval rate for our selective process in STH is like 1 out of a quarter. It's a quarter, I think, like 25% that people that go through our selective process actually get into. And I think most of NGOs is like 100%. Hey, I want to help. Oh, come right in, you know, the door is open for you. But that's not how it works with us, you know, because we want to keep up the high performance. So therefore we seek for the best people. We advertise for the best people. We show our culture. We show like, hey, we work that way, you know. If you sympathize with that, if you have frustration with other NGOs already, come to us. We are different, you know, and really like walking our talk pretty much. So, and then interviewing. That's really funny. That's really funny. Like, our interview is a beast. And people who go through them, like, they get really scared. How conventional interview sounds like. I'm gonna just like give an example. I'm pretty sure you've been into that already. Conventional interviews are like, hey, tell me about some of your experience. And then you're telling, and then people are like, ah, yes. The interviewer like, oh, great. Oh, yeah, well, yeah. And then when you go off the interview, you think like, God, did I went through? Like, I don't know. And then 2 weeks later, you receive like a letter through your email saying, oh, we're sorry, we are apology. Like, we have 1,000 great candidates. You are not one of them. And then you think like, what did I did wrong? You know, it must be a question that I answered not right. So that's not transparent with the interviewer. That's not transparent with you. It's like a conventional model. It's outdated in our organization. So these things, it looks different. Let me jump right back into here. So in our organization, it sounds like this. Hey, tell me one experience that you're proud for and what you did exactly to make it work, you know, a project or whatever. And then people start like, yes, there was this NGO that I worked for. It was really great. Like 10 seconds later, you interrupt the people and say, you're not answering my question. What was actually that you did there that makes like a difference inside? And then, well, whatever. And then you like 15 seconds later, throw it again. I'm not convinced that you're going to have a great impact here inside our NGO. So the thing is, by the end of the interview, and of course, you need to have a flexibility to know, like, if your posture as an interviewer is like, it's avoiding people to say the real stuff because you want the real stuff. So by the end of interview, the ones who fail, they don't fail because they think, oh, like I answered that wrong. You know, I should have said another thing. They failed because they think my life sucks. I'm a failure, you know? So I need to get better in this and this and that, and I need to change in that. So it's really clear during the interview for the interviewer, both the interviewer and the interviewee, the one that's being interviewed, that like, you suck in that and that and that, you know? And that's like, that's not a problem. It's just that you need to get better in this, you know? So it's quite mind-blowing. But that's how it goes. How it goes. It's really unconventional, but you can seek the real stuff inside the people. And also, we don't rely on just one interviewer, like one specialist. Our interview is 2 interviewers that we train for a whole week, and audience. Yes, we have audience, because the audience are the ones that are going to give the interviewers feedback for probably some unconscious bias that could happen, you know? So we have a lot of people looking just at one people, you know, one person. So, and also during our interview, we say, I don't care if you know Photoshop. All I care is, do you have the right cultural fit? Because that was something that we learned. We had like a bunch of interviews. I remember that we had a guy very specialized with marketing. Like I've been working marketing for the past 10 years, no Illustrator, Photoshop, is a masterpiece. And then we had another one, drop out of college, that didn't know shit about Photoshop, but he had the right cultural fit. And the reality was that we didn't take the one that had a lot of experience with Photoshop, and we take the one that was drop out and didn't know a single thing. And like in 3 days, I'm not kidding, in 3 days, he mastered Photoshop. And then like the challenge was already small for him. Because we know that also high performance people, if you provide the right context again, and the right challenge, learning is not a problem. They will learn and they will love it, you know? So it's not I don't want to know any of your hard skills, because I know this is something you can easily learn. Hard skills are easily learned. But you have if you have the soft skills, that changes the whole thing. So I'm having a bunch of questions here. So Tunisia is asking, sorry, Asma is asking, hey Asma, do you think it is good to recruit people who already believe in that type of culture, or it's not important? This is strictly important, but it's also like you need to avoid, and I'm gonna talk about it too, but you need to avoid false positives pretty much. So you know when someone read your entire culture deck and is saying just like bullshit. So that's why the model of interviewing is even more important, because people kind of know what you're expecting for, but that doesn't matter for us, because our interview, it follows like a metric, but it doesn't follow a specific questions that you need to ask. So the interviews, they are trained to extract all the things from people. So we really loved when we start the interview and the candidate says, I'm really proactive. And we say, hey, stop right there. You have 30 seconds now to convince me that you're really proactive. And then people are like, I mean, proactive is not the new orange, you know. So we seek for like specific stuff, really being really objective. So it's really important to hire people. I'll not say believe the type of culture, because believing is different than acting that way. So that's what you need to have in mind. You need to hire people that connect, that fits into your culture, you know, and you need to fire the ones that doesn't. So that's really important, Asma. And also, okay, how long did it take you to implement the culture in your own NGO? That's a good question. And did you recruit people who already had a predisposition to embody that type of culture or not? Definitely, like I'm saying, hiring people that show this type of behaviors that you're looking for. And also, it took me, it's a ongoing process. So I think our greatest change happening this past year, like 1 full year, to really have a culture that other NGOs comes and like do consulting with us, even companies. One time, some of our former members, they went to work for some big corporates, and they messaged us, hey, Igor, this thing is a mess, man. You need to come here with your NGO and teach them how to work, you know? So we've achieved like a way that we are actually getting better than some of big organizational cultures from companies. So it took me around 1 year, but this whole thing like was in my mind from 2 years from now. So I started 2 years ago to build that. Now, so Marta, hello, you're asking, how do you react if someone does not manage to reach the goals that were assigned to him or her? Great question. How do you create solidarity among members of your team? Knowledge sharing, for example. So there is no problem in not achieving goals. What I want to say by that, it's that the problem is if people didn't take initiative. So if we had a goal in this week and you come in in the last day of the week saying, hey, I didn't achieve it, that's a problem. And that's a feedback I'm gonna give it to you, because you were in the across the worst performance in our NGO. But the thing is, if you see, hey, I need help into that, I'll be here. The directors will be there, the coordinators will be there. We have a home office, because like our structure is all home office, but everyone is helping everyone at all times. The thing is, the goal is owned by someone. And this someone, like I said, this person has the freedom to reach other team members, has the freedom to reach their friends, to do whatever they want, really. So we are always willing to help, and we are like really, really trustworthy into that, you know? So if someone failed, but you see like they've been trying a lot, and people from the team helped it too, they took initiative, they took ownership, that's not a problem at all. So that's really different. Failing, and then you need to extract learning from that. So it's always important to keep in mind, either you have results or learnings. So if a person cannot state the results, you ask, so what were the learnings? And if they cannot state the learnings, then like, what are you doing here? You know, go find something else, you know? All right, so Hanzo is asking, hello, do you believe that young adults with few NGOs experience should manage a new organization, or it's better to have a balance of employees with have lots of experience in NGOs? So I don't believe that really makes any difference, Hanzo, really. I don't think experience is necessarily a factor here, because people could come really biased. And what you need to make sure is that, I mean, experience is great, but you need to make sure if that person with a bunch of experience that's going inside your NGO, if that person has the right challenge, like the big challenge, you know? Because if it doesn't, that's not gonna make sense. You're not gonna build a strong culture inside. Because the thing is, culture is like this 80% of what you are and the 20% of what you're trying to reach, you know? So it doesn't make sense to put like 100% person in something that you're already building, because that person will have no challenge there. And then you're gonna have some problems like managing this person, or either this person is gonna start distrusting your method, you know, like, and like not summing up anything. So I'm gonna get into the slides right now, and then I go back to the questions. Thank you so much. I hope I'm answering them. Bad people. So I put this image here because the Mr. Incredible he's looking really like a villain here, but in reality he's not. What we do with bad people, the one that's not performing so well, as Marta asked us, we say, hey, you are in the bottom 5% of performance across all our NGO. And I know that doesn't feel good. You stated directly, like everything. And then you say, the reason I'm telling you this is that I want you to help to grow and get better. So you need to recognize who is like not performance at all, and you need to stand the hand with them, because in our experience we noticed that the one that were not performing properly, if we stand our hand to them, they would not come in like good people, like top performance, but they would shift to average. And if they shift to average, that's already good, because we don't have to go for all hiring again, and like we can actually stand the hand and like push them, most of them, to the average line. But like if they don't want to be helped, or if they don't want to grow, and if they don't want to get better, don't overthink it. Fire. I've personally fired like more than 8 our employees across this all years. Like in our structure, I think we fired more than 25 really. And nowadays we have 15 people on the team, really lean. So the thing is, you need, and that's a common approach, and but I'm gonna say it anyway. You need to take a long time to hire people and to look for the best. And you take just a short time to fire. Don't overthink it. But like the thing is, the important part here is that feedback once, feedback often. So it takes 3 feedbacks to see if the person is gonna get better in that or not. So by the 3rd feedback, if you're having to say the same thing as you said in the 1st feedback, it's the same mistake. You fire them because you know they don't have the fit in your culture. And what you're gonna say is not like, hey, I'm firing you because you're not good. It's not like that. It's like if you give constant feedbacks, the person know where they are struggling in your culture. It's not personal at all. It's just like you don't fit, and that's it. Like you don't fit in our culture for now, and that's it. Like you're not doing us any better, and probably we are not doing you any better too. Like it's just not the right thing for you. So there's no problem with that. So let's just be clear. Like, okay, you're fired. Not a big deal. So, and also cut the sandwich off. For God's sakes, cut this bullshit off. The thing is, I'm pretty sure you've heard about sandwich feedbacks, right? So what are sandwich feedbacks? It's like a common approach to HR all around the world. Why sandwich feedbacks? Because it's a layer, like let's say it's a bread on top, then the hamburger or the ham, and then the bread again. The thing is, most of HR specialists or whatever, they say, hey, you need to, when you're giving a feedback, you need to say what the person is good at first, and then you say what the person is struggling, which is the hamburger, the most important piece, and then you finish with what the person is good at. That's completely bullshit. And the reason is that because if you need to give a feedback, if you need to give like the feedback of what the person needs to get better at the same time with the feedback that what the person is good at, you fail it. The reason you fail it because you forgot to give the feedback of what the person is good before, So feedback is a constant art. It's actually like a constant thing. It's not a single event that then you join people and say, hey, I'm gonna give you some feedbacks. No, it's every day. It's every day. If they get it right, you say, hey, you got it really right. Congratulations. Like I'm seeing you have a great potential here, and I trust you. If they get it wrong, you say at the right same time. Like this is not appropriate because of that and that and that, and then you do an agreement. Are we all set? Are you gonna change for the next week? Because like if people agree, there's no discussion with it, and there's no way you can take it personal. So also the good people. So that's another common mistake of NGOs, and not only NGOs, of companies. Giving too much credit to bad people. They're always thinking about bad people, like always talking to them, whatever. But what really matters is the good people. The good people, you need to put them under a microscope, really. Watch them every single step, because the thing is, we do not seek to like not change our culture, Our motto, it's always get better in our culture. It's always improving it. And the bad people helps you to know what's working, what's not, and like what do they have to add into your culture too. So put them under the microscope, and always, it's important, always increasing responsibilities. We never decrease responsibility. Like I said, like they are the best people. So therefore, you need to increase their responsibility. Otherwise, they're gonna go away from their NGO soon, and that's a reality. That's a harsh reality. So put them under the microscope and always increase responsibilities. So first month you did great into that. Now you're gonna continue doing that into the second month, and also in the second month you're gonna do this extra thing, right? You're gonna do like another challenge. So always increase their responsibility. Always give them opportunities to grow, and also This is important too. You need to give people slightly more trust, freedom, and authority than you are comfortable giving them. That's your only measure when it comes to culture. If you're not nervous, you haven't given enough. I'm going to repeat that. This is really important. Give people slight more trust, freedom, and authority than you are comfortable giving them. And if you're not nervous, you haven't given them enough. The changes just happen when people are feeling uncomfortable, especially the ones that are on the top. If they are feeling comfortable, they get like grumpy, the things start to get too much bureaucratic. So you need to feel this butterfly in stomach of like, oh my God, I'm uncomfortable, but that's okay. Like freedom comes with kind of uncomfortability too. So, and the lean startup method, what I'm stating here that is that actually this is like NGO, like I said, needs to work like a company, not only like a company, like a startup. You need to learn and pivot or persevere. Like with everything you do, you need to build and experiment and you need to marriage and always doing that loop. What NGOs usually does, they usually go to build. They usually just building and building and building and building and building and not measuring the results and not learning from that. So it's really important to keep this feedback loop going on. And remember the pizza. So this is an amazing pizza picture that I found. The pizza rule is also important. So it's really known, especially like in tech companies and Silicon Valley, but it's applicable in your NGO too. If it takes you more than 2 pizza to feed one team, probably half of the person that are there are useless. So you need to keep it lean because, like I said, always increasing responsibility. So, and the other thing is that's another measure. If you, as a leader, if you're taking more time to make someone to do something, fire them and do it yourself. Because like it needs to have this balance of, okay, I'm helping you and I'm guiding you, but this should not take more of my time that I would actually build this, so because sometimes that's a pain, you need to be there and like really in their feet and say like, hey, do this, do that, and do that. Like, so don't ever think that if it takes you more time to convince the people to do something, do it yourself. Like that's responsibility, and that's the pizza rule. That's pretty much the pizza rule. When you have a team with more than 8 people, probably, like I said, half of them there are already like outdated, useless. Either you reassign their challenge, put them in a different team, getting them more uncomfortable. And to finish, and I'll go into the questions, I'm put here signs you are in the right track. You, as a global change maker, you as someone that's leading a change inside a nonprofit, inside your organization, this is the sign that you are on the right track. When people say to you, you are biting off more than you can chew, you say yes, and I'll keep doing that, and that's it, because it shows people that you are walking towards something much more bigger than yourself. And also, I love this one. Hey, take it easy. We are just volunteers. That's my favorite. When I hear this, I know I'm in the right track because like you're a volunteer for a reason. Like I don't care. Like you here, and if it's not on your top priorities, then you should leave. I just want here high performance people that this organization are there on top priorities. And like if it's not you, no problem. Life goes on, but we will not take it easy. And the reason we will not take it easy is that if you expect little from people, you get little. And if you expect a lot, then you know what happened. So thank you so much. Here is my email, igor@sth.org.pr. Feel free to keep in touch with me. Now I'm gonna answer the last questions here on our webinar, and I appreciate you so much your attendance. So let's jump to it. So Hansel asked me, I'm currently working on a personal project idea. However, it's kind of hard to launch it and find possible donors, right? Then what strategy would you recommend to implement to approach donors? So the strategies Hansel I would implement is creating a reward system based. So don't rely on the donor's will, because otherwise you're not gonna have a steady monthly revenue for organization. So you could actually develop strategies like also trying to not staying too much of your time seeking for a single transaction, oh, just give me one transaction, but rather convincing people that if they give you monthly, like subscribing for an NGO, they can have much more. Like, so establish like a system of newsletter, give them information of, hey, this week, because of your money, we helped that and that and that. And that's all deliverables, That's content generation, that's rewards. You can actually like give, I don't know, like a month you gave them maybe a keychain, another one you gave them like a t-shirt. So some like just simple products that they feel like, okay, I'm having an impact here. And that's the exchange. When you're in an NGO, that's the product you're selling, impact, not will. So establish a reward-based system for your donations. That should help a lot. Curtin is asking, do you set the team goals or do you set them for themselves? Also, how do you measure performance? That's really great question. I think I didn't answer here how to measure performance yet. So we have both the team goals and the individual goals. And the challenge is to see, like, because the team goals are the ones that are top down, like I told you. The whole team, the whole marketing team need to achieve this for this month. And then there's the bottom up. The people looking at the team goals, they say, okay, I'm gonna do, this is my goal for this month, and I'm sure that this goal leads directly to this goal. So they always need to be smart, specific, measurable, attainable, I forgot the R, and time bounded, pretty much. So you set the team goals, and then you set the individual goals, and your job as a leader is to see that if the goal is challenging enough, if actually the goal you set for yourself as an individual is contributing for the company's goal, for the organization goals. So, and that's the challenge, and that's the adjustment you need to go, and that's what's come with autonomy. It will be really easy to say, hey, you need to do that, but that's not how it works, and that's how we create ownership. So tell me what you need to do to achieve that, and then we iterate, and then I'll give you feedback. So yeah, definitely I can send you this PowerPoint presentation. Another thing that I think will be much more powerful than the PowerPoint presentation that I showed you, it's STH Culture Deck. So here is like a 42 pages of our STH Culture Deck. We call it Freedom with Responsibility. So this is our guideline inside STH that we updated every month. Every month, this is our values. We have it all. So, and this is how we behave inside our organization. I think this is much more valuable for you. So I send you through the email the ones that subscribe for the webinar. So, and also last question here. From your experience, what would be your top strategies to attract high-performance volunteers? What methods, channels do you use? So, great question, Marta. Like I said, be crazy. Like try, if you want to try an outdoor in a crowded city, like try it. Maybe an outdoor is not that expensive, What we've done so far, we've done a lot of Facebook work, but also one thing that really worked for us was actually looking for other companies and former members of those companies and other extracurricular activities inside universities, that these extracurricular activities, especially junior enterprises that are known for their high performance. So we go there and direct entire for them. And also you need to find the ones that are frustrated with the current NGO. Like me, I was really frustrated with how NGOs were set up. So if you find that people, it's gonna like connect like a bullet with them. They're gonna say like, hey, I didn't know this exists, I want to do this the process now. So thank you so much, folks. I appreciate you here. Feel free to drop me an email, igor@sth.org.pr, and I'm gonna send the culture deck to Courtney, and she's gonna deliver for your email. And I'm also gonna put into the description of this webinar later. Okay? I appreciate it so much. Bye bye. Lots of love. Take care.